Day, sunshine, highs near 93. For KTUI, my name is Christopher Lee Cunningham. Enjoy your day.
KTUI time is 10:05, and the current temperature is 71 degrees. I'm Sam Scott for KTUI.
Go.
Hey, good morning and welcome back. Here we are live at the White Mule Winery on the high plains of Gasconade County. 72 degrees here at airtime and a cloudy day. We have some overcast today, and I don't know if it's going to rain necessarily, but I jumped on my side-by-side that sat out last night, and we had a little rain because there was water that run off the roof. Got me a little bit wet, Grace, but, I didn't melt that much, So it's good for you to be along here this morning on KTUI, 1560 AM, 94.1 FM, or possibly you're watching us on Facebook Live. Hey, we trust that you had a great week. We trust that you got enough fairs in. I know the state fair is going on right now. We actually were scheduled to go yesterday, and some things come up, and we didn't make it, but we know that the crowds are good at the state fair, and we know that everybody that went up is having a good time. So when we get the fairs over in our area, then it's time to set our visions on school, because it always comes very quickly, and I know that every month goes fast, but if you're a parent and you're going to school, I don't know that any month moves any faster than August. Am I right, Dr. Hardy?
You are right. August has flown by. Our principals reported back to work the 1st of August. Secretaries back to work 1st of August. New teachers came last week for orientation. This week, all of our staff members have been back together. It has been a great time to see all of the hustle and bustle getting ready. Tuesday night, we already had our first open house for Gerald Elementary and Owensville Elementary. And then last night, middle school and high school had their open houses. So we are, we're running. We got up and we took off, and we're ready for kids to come back Monday morning, and we're so excited to see them and back in person and see like they were last year. Dr.
Hardy, of course, is our new superintendent, at Owensville R2 school, Gasconade County R2, I should say, and we are pleased to have her. Of course, she's no stranger here at the White Mule, but actually her first new start of school under her reign, and we congratulate you, and we're tickled to have you in our community, you and your family. You're great assets, of course, and you're so much like us, your family, in so many ways, and that's a blessing for us. There's no question about it, because you fit in very well, and we're glad to have you. So congratulations, and congratulate the school board on good decisions to get you here.
Well, thank you, and you and your wife were some of the first people we met when we came.
You stayed at the bed and breakfast here.
We did. We stayed at the bed and breakfast and brought our son. We just knew from the first time we came that this was the community we wanted to be in, and now we're starting on year 6 in the community, and we love it. It is amazing. We have one of the best schools, I would say, in the state of Missouri, and I'm going to echo that. If you don't mind, I'm just going to kind of go ahead with what great teachers we have in the district. In the month of July, I was able to go to Boston on an all-expense paid trip through one of our assessment companies, because on national assessments, our students, I was one of the top 72 school districts whose students actually grew more during the pandemic than the prior 2 years before.
Wow.
And that only can be attributed to the success of our teachers and having students. The importance of having students in seat in front of that live teacher there's no comparison as far as the quality of learning and the quality of teachers that we have here in Gasconade County R2, and the importance of, we know we have disinfecting in place, we know we have physical distancing in place, but our parents also trust us with their kids. And we appreciate
They trust
it so
the
much.
entire school district.
They do, the entire district. From our bus drivers are the first people those kiddos see of the morning, to our paraprofessionals, our secretaries, to our teachers. And putting those procedures in place, we were able to keep our doors open every day last year, which it attributed to the growth of students. And it's all because our staff is very conscious of what's going on, and we want this to be one of the best and safest places for kids.
You know, they not only trust you with, you know, our kids and our grandkids, they also trust the district with their money. You know, and that's saying a lot, because never has there been an issue come before the voters where they didn't support the Gasconade County R2 school. And that's, what else can you say in a conservative neighborhood than that?
That says a lot for our community, because I can tell you it's not like that everywhere else. But when the voters trust us with those funds, we have to do the best we can to carry out those funds and stretch them as far, but provide the most up-to-date resources for our kids, but also our facilities. Because of the taxpayers supporting us, we don't have a very large federal base. Most of our money comes from state and local funds. So our taxpayers are critical in the functioning of our district. And if it weren't for our taxpayers supporting us, we would not have the facilities and the resources that we need. And so I am so thankful for the community for that.
You know, some of the last interviews that I did when school got out last spring was looking forward to the summer and know the commitment that our teachers made, and really the work zone, and sometimes you know, challenging work zone that they were in with the COVID. And, you know, I told some of the administrators that I had talked to, I hope you don't have too much curriculum this summer, because the teachers really need a break, because they've went above and beyond, you know, to make sure that we was one of the 72 in the nation or the state of Missouri?
In the nation.
That's amazing.
I did. That was there, that did all of these diagnostic and monthly growth monitorings for students. And so what they do is they don't look at your MAP scores, they look at individual student growth within a school year from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And so when you talk about, you hope that they didn't have a lot of curriculum and things over the summer. We implemented last year that we would let them do the curriculum writing during the school year. And so we did that in the month of May after all of our state assessments were over. And our teachers were able to spend that time this summer at home with their families. They weren't coming back working on curriculum. But now that they're back, you know, we closed the buildings in July. We try to close them, encourage teachers to stay home, enjoy your families, because, you know, you have to have that work-life balance. And teachers are the world's worst about trying to make themselves not think about school. And so July is really hard for teachers when they can't get into those buildings. But when you see the work that our custodial staff did, if you were there at open house and you saw the floors and the cleanliness of our buildings, they really are a true example of the Dutchman way. They make sure they are working so hard in the summer to get our buildings ready, disinfected, floors waxed, furniture's moved, rooms moved. And then our construction projects also, we always try to get those done during the summer. And so if you've been by the middle school, you've seen the new concrete pad out in front of middle school. We have a new bus route to try to help with releasing in the afternoons between OES and high school using the bus road. So that will just be for buses to help with that. So all of those things happen during the summer. We've been working on the kitchens at Gerald and high school. And then we have some construction projects because of COVID. Things were on back order that we're going to have to be finishing up during the school year, such as our bus barn expansion. And, you know, we have a very large, I think we're the 15th largest district in the state of Missouri that has to run bus routes. So we have a very large bus fleet. So we are expanding our bus barn, but also that's our warehouse where we store things. And so that will get started, we're hoping, around October, November. And then also looking at, finally, we're getting HVAC in the small gym at high school. So we'll have air conditioning in the small gym. And that is something that we've, all summer, our crews have been so busy. You can go by there and you'll see people out working. If you go in the buildings, the teamwork that the custodians have put together, they took a different approach this summer and they worked as one large team. And it was amazing to see the progress.
You know, I know that you had been working on the bus barn and concreting that, because part of the people I wanted to get to do some concreting for us at the barn have been, well, school's starting. School's starting, we got to finish this up before we could get you a cow pen done, Charlie. And I totally understand that without a doubt. But it's a good thing, and you know, just maintaining, when you got heavy traffic, you look right here. I mean, I look and it's a constant maintenance thing, on our parking lot and our roads. And we don't have the big buses and those, big things coming in. We got trucks and whatever, but not to that degree. So it's something that's going to last indefinitely. But one of the greatest improvements that I seen going on last year was in front of the Gerald School. What a good idea and what a safety feature that is, because 50 is right there. Now parents can drop their kiddos off, and do whatever and have a bypass through there. And that's a great feature.
That is a really great feature. The bus lane right in front of Gerald has made it, and it's made it easier on our buses where we don't have buses maybe hanging out into Highway 50. And the safety aspect, like you said, for the students is very important and has added another layer there at Gerald. And they have it looking great. One thing I can tell you, they're starting some landscape work, but it is a very good addition to that building. And I know that Mr. Tharp, last year was his first year as principal at Gerald Elementary School. He's made some changes there. If you go by and you look at some of those side view windows, and he's really promoting, we're a Dutchman. We're all a Dutchman, and so that cohesiveness between both of our campuses, the one in Owensville and the one in Gerald, when those kids merge after 5th grade into middle school and they're mixed with the kids, our Gerald kids and our OES kids are mixed together, they've been a Dutchman from the time they were in preschool to 6th grade now. And so we're doing that to make it a more cohesive move for students.
That's it's a great asset there. There's no question, and it's the proper thing in Gerald. To have that close and supporting that community and supporting the parents there. It just makes an awful lot of sense to do that. Well, I thought that when we started this year and ending what I started to talk about initially was that after the summer, COVID would be gone and we would have a clean slate. And, here we are. I mean, COVID is not gone, obviously. We have all learned a lot. We've learned to live with some of the aspects. Many of us has been vaccinated a couple of times, but we're going into the school year with a lot more certainties. We do know some things, Dr. Hardy, that's extremely important to talk about. Number one, yes, kids can get infected by it. There's no question about it at all. But, and every life is precious. Every life is tremendously important. But this disease, as far as kids are concerned, probably is really no more devastating than the flu would be, even if that's so. I mean, the number of deaths, are somewhat limited, but my hat's off to you and the school system for doing such a great job of mitigating, this terrible disease. And, you've got to do it again, because just the kids are the central part of all of our families, our grandparents, our aunts and uncles, and all of those older people that are exposed to these kids. We want that relationship. We have to have the hands-on as grandparents, to do what we need to do. And I appreciate everything that the school district needs to do to help mitigate those circumstances, because it is about the kids, but it is about a bigger picture than that.
Yes.
of the whole community and their whole families. And I think sometimes some of the politics maybe forget that a little bit, and I don't want to go too deeply into that because I respect people's right, but this is for everybody.
This is for everyone. And when we talk about COVID and navigating those waters, we thought we were going to go into, like you said earlier, a more normal year, and then we have the Delta variant that's popped up. So one thing that I would like, some of the things we're having to do, there is, of course, there's a federal mandate that if you're riding public transportation, and school buses are seen as public transportation, any school vehicle, van, car, you have to have a mask on for that. However, within the school district, we realize that people have the choice right now to be vaccinated, to not be vaccinated, to wear a mask, to not wear a mask. So in saying that, we are going to highly encourage masking, but they're not mandated at this time in the school building. Now, if they ride the bus, like I said, they will have to wear a mask because that's a federal mandate that we have to adhere to as a public school. But we're going to keep up with the disinfecting procedures we had. We're going to keep with the cohorting of our students because we still have to contact trace with the health department. One thing that I'll have to say is when we navigate this, because we've already had some instances where we've had to do contact tracing this year, the health department has been great to work with. One thing that the CDC released for schools only that has helped us is they've reduced that 6 feet in a school, not everywhere, but in a school, to 3 feet. So the physical distancing for schools is 3 feet, and then Misha has taken a different stance, so I think that's something that parents of athletes need to understand. And if you go online and look at our board minutes from August board meeting, you will see an email that I put in from Misha, but they pretty well said that yes, a vaccination's optional, however, so are extracurricular sports. So if your team is quarantined, they had the option of a vaccination. So, they're not going to do the virtual practices this year. They're not going to have a lot of leeway with our teams. They're saying that if you want to participate, that's a choice. So is being vaccinated, and they trust the science. So that is Misha's stance. So if you want to see that, you can go in and look at the board report, and it's under the superintendent's report under board docs. But that way parents understand that, if we do have to miss a game or something because of that and we can't schedule a makeup, Misha's not going to really have a lot of leeway at this time.
Right,
and I say
right.
At this time, I know Tuesday we were talking with the health department, and he said, I don't foresee any changes coming down. That was at 10 a.m. And 3:45, we received an email. He said, there may be some changes in a few minutes. And at 4:30, DESE and DHSS had a couple of changes. And so, we're back where we were last year, where I'm having Zoom meetings every week with different superintendents groups, health departments. But we know what worked last year. We know teaching kids great hand washing skills is important at home and at school. Making sure you're using hand sanitizer, keeping that 3 feet physical distance as much as possible. We know those things are effective. And we do know that the younger children don't get as sick, but we are seeing more cases in elementary kids than what we saw last year. But it is the bigger picture. It's the grandmas and grandfathers and moms and dads that are more susceptible.
Yeah, it's it is deja vu to some degree, and the good part about it is the experience and the knowledge that we do have in regard to it, and educating everybody on these changes are always challenging, but you and your staff and you do a good job by being totally open, totally transparent, and I just appreciate the fact that local school boards still make the majority of these decisions in regard to our kids, and I don't ever want to lose that.
Absolutely.
I do not want to lose that at all, because I think they're the best handler. I know the federal government don't. don't have the best handle on every school district, in the nation. How, there's no way. And neither does the state. There are some particular, situations, that I totally understand, because Misha, for instance, you are involved in more than a local school district there. The kids go out and play across a whole lot of different school districts, and the way sports are now, it's not just, Four Rivers Conference.
Right.
That used to be. It's different, it's bigger, there's so many multi-sports out there, and so many other communities that are involved. So I understand the reason why, they feel that they need to do what they do. And it's a totally different thing, Dr. Hardy. When you're in there playing basketball or football, body to body, body fluids to body fluids, and whatever, it's a different circumstance than staying 3 foot apart.
Exactly. And also, one thing that our health department, they recognize that, and, we have to review when we have a case come up. Our coaches have to review film if they've take practices to figure out how to contact trace. And one thing that our health department has been great with is we did have a very large quarantine early on, and since Misha went and said you can't do virtual practices because they're not as healthy for kids, they're not getting the same they're not working the same muscle movement, things like that. So what the health department allowed us to do is all of those kids who were quarantined together were able to practice together, and some health departments will not do that. And so I am so thankful that, like you said, our local school board is really great at making decisions.
The local health department.
But our local health department has been amazing.
And they have worked with us also, during, our time here last year when we were closed down, and weddings and week by week and those particular functions. But they have been superb to work with. And in all honesty, a limited amount of resources they have to do what they do. The board is volunteer, and the staff is imagine the protocol and what they have had to go through here to bring themselves up to speed to all of these regulations. It's pretty outstanding.
It is. They have done an amazing job, and they are so great about contacting us back at the school and giving us resources that we need to provide to students, and we have a great partnership, and that is something that I'm very proud of, that our community works together, whether it be the health department or local businesses. Just the way that everyone works together when there's a need in this community is amazing.
You've answered one of my questions to some degree that I thought that I was going to ask you, because in all of this circumstances, how did the kids fare out? And it's pretty amazing that you come in here, because I was thinking about it last night. I really wonder how we're assessing these kids and what cost, to them because of all of the fluidness of the situation and the concern, but obviously kids are adaptable.
Kids are adaptable. Kids bounce back, and they bounce back rather quickly if they're in that environment, that loving environment, that safe environment of the school. And one thing that we found from when we were shut down from March till May, there was some learning loss during that time, but we were able to assess students at the beginning of the year instead of just waiting on a state assessment to come out. We were able to look and make sure that students had that diagnostic test within the first 3 weeks of school to see where that learning loss had occurred, and we were able to put in specific interventions based on each child's needs.
Isn't that something?
And teachers they're adaptable also, and they don't let their stress show. And they had a lot last year coming back, and even just the fear of the unknown.
Right.
That was the big thing. None of us last year, when the schools opened back up, I was telling you earlier, we didn't have a roadmap. We had a blank slate in front of us, and we were learning how to navigate those waters. And that was a scary place for teachers to be, and to not know, are we going to be in seat? Are we not going to be in seat? And then you had naysayers that would say, I don't even know why they're opening the school up. They're only going to be open for 2 weeks. Well, then we were in seat every single day last year. And that's because of the procedures that the teachers and the custodians and the bus drivers, that they followed every single day. And the contact tracing, I can tell you, is not a fun thing to do.
Oh.
But by the way that we organized our kids and we had to cohort our kids, it allowed for more students to stay in seat. And that is our ultimate goal, because we do know that students learn best when they're in school.
You know, it is amazing that we now have the data, you know, to be able to make the teachers individual choices and know how these students are performing, what their challenges are as kids, and what their strengths are, of course, and then having the ability and having the real knowledge, Dr. Hardy, to help each of these kids on an individual basis. It is pretty unbelievable when you've got, 30 kids in a classroom, or whatever, 20, whatever that happens to be, that you can spend your time and attention on those kids. I mean, that's kind of like me with the cows. They're looking pretty good here, but we got a few here that we need to, help a little bit more. They're not quite growing as they need to be, and, go down the checklist of what can Gracie do? What can Gracie do to...
What extra
Right.
resources do we need to utilize?
Exactly.
And
So
we're fortunate, just going back to what you stated earlier, is to have our community back, our taxpayers to back the school, because we do have those resources. And I am blown away, because I've worked in a couple of districts throughout the state, and you just don't realize how fortunate you are if you've never actually been in another district. But to have the facilities, to have the resources, to have the materials which are as up to date as possible for kids to have in their hands, to make sure that our teachers are trained properly. And our new teachers, like I said, last week we added a day on to new teacher training, because we want them to stay in this community. They were able to get acclimated. They were able to visit all of the buildings. They were able to develop relationships with each other. And we want our teachers, when they come here, to love the community as much as we do.
And it's not that we are a rich school district. I mean, monetarily wise, I mean, we're okay if you look at the demographics here. We're okay. We're very blessed, but it is the history and the heritage and the family and the community. You know what I'm saying? That works together here to provide that total environment, and it's their commitment to that. And that, I know richer school districts, you know what I'm saying, can just throw a lot of money at it, you know what I'm saying, but the outcome isn't the same. But there was probably some of them 72 school districts that were pretty wealthy, that was there. But by gosh, we can do it too, can't we?
We can do it too. And I think that all comes from our motto of tradition, pride, and excellence. That is something that we want to instill into our little Dutchmen and little Dutch girls all the way up till the time they walk out of the doors at graduation, because ultimately, yes, we are a rural community, but if they decide to go to college or go to work, we want people to know that they graduated from Owensville High School, and they're a product of the GCR2 community. And that you can tell the students who walked out of our doors in the 12th grade, when they come back, they have a different work ethic. They are more proud of what they do, and they take pride in almost every aspect of their life. They don't want to just halfway do a job. They want to make sure they do it to the best of their ability. And that says a lot about the parents, their upbringing, grandparents, and then the staff that has had a role in helping to mold and make them. So we are honored that we're allowed to do that for students.
And I know that, change is amongst us, and you've got a lot of new teachers coming in because all the teachers that were 10 years younger than I and my age have retired. A lot of them come in here, and I'm thinking, you guys, I'm so happy for you to a big degree. I am tickled that they have reached that milestone, and I appreciate everything that they do. I'm just going to be straight honest with you. I have some trepidation, of thinking about the skills that these teachers have because, in the mid-50s, I was on top of my game. Well, at 65, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And a lot of these are going to go on to other things and use their skill set to do whatever. But Dr. Vandelier, I think about, the superintendent and her husband, the coaches, and I watched him, with his son there. Yes. And he's mentoring and he's helping with all of that knowledge. And you know what? I know this with my kids. There's only a certain amount that's got to be accepted. But understand what I'm saying. That there's a lot of skill set that you turn out. So, but on the other hand of that, I can tell with the kids that we have here that younger people do a better job communicating to them than I do. I shouldn't, that's, you don't have to agree with me.
Well,
you know what I'm saying.
I do know what you're saying, but when we see that many retirees from the community, it's very bittersweet because they have such a knowledge base. And they have, it is within them, their character even, and we know what we're getting. And it's sad when, Dr. Garner was here for 13 years and he was an amazing asset to the district, and he will continue to be so because he's staying in the community. Thank goodness, if we have an issue, I know that Dr. Garner is there and I can say, hey, I can pick your brain. And a lot of our teachers do stay in the area, which is great. And, this year we hired a teacher, the first time that we've done this since I've been here, under critical shortage, because teaching, there's a shortage in teaching. And we hired a retired teacher to come back under critical shortage. And it was so great to see her coming back after she had retired. Now, I don't know if she believes it's as great as we do, but she has so much knowledge, and that's something that our younger teachers and our older teachers, as long as they learn to work together and develop those relationships with each other, then that knowledge can be passed down. And that's very important that we're all open to, as I'm one of the older on our admin team, I have to be willing to accept some changes that are coming up from some of our younger admin staff, just like our younger admin staff. It ain't going to get no easier. And you're not older, but it doesn't get any easier because, that's the one thing about age. You know what I'm saying? My patience, and I can tell it with my kids that, high school kids and, the kids that work here. I just do not have the patience that I once had, you tell them once or twice or whatever, and then the attention to that detail, and that real mentoring. It's hard when you've taught 12 boys, you know what I'm saying, in critical ages how to do things, and sometimes you forget, but that's just part of the aging process. And when we're talking about our students, and you're talking about, it's part of the aging process, one of my greatest joys is we have employers around that will email us. And my son graduated from Gaston County R2, and to me, not to anyone else, but he could be a little bit of a knucklehead. But I received an email. He has gotten married and he moved jobs to benefit his family here in the community, and he's working in the community. But when he left his employer, I received an email that said, thank you and the school for all you did. It was a joy to have your son work for us. If he ever wants to come back, he can come back. Well, that's not just me. That was everyone who had a hand in shaping who he is. But we get those quite often. And as an administrator, when you receive those emails about students who have graduated, that is one of the greatest joys that you have, because that is our goal, is to create great citizens. And that's one thing that our community backs us on.
Yes.
And we love having that.
And I am the same way here. I mean, I tell these young men that, I'm going to treat them just as I do my kids, because I love them.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm hard on them. There's no question about it at all. I'm just as hard on my kids. And one of the boys that worked here is now become a resident, and he's going to be a doctor. And another family member, and I told him when I left, I told him when we come back home, I said, doctor, I was pretty dang hard on you. And he said, what? Are you kidding? He said, I think about it all the time. I appreciate.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that you treated me as you did. It helped me at a critical time. So I got a free pass.
Well, those high expectations, our kids want those. And, we do have high expectations, and kids,
they're so smart.
they are smart. And
They're so smart, Doctor. I just
up everything. It's amazing.
I got 4 boys, 4.0 students. They're smart as could be, but I told them to put the new flag up, and they pulled the rope down.
Well,
I know. I'm just, what I told them? You boys are dang lucky I'm grading on the curve today. Daddy always said, you got 3 boys, you got 1 boy, you got a boy, you got 2 boys, you got a half a boy, you got 3 boys, you got no boys. And that, we separate them to some degree. Well,
yes.
We've got sports coming up here. Also, football, I know from here that the boys are out practicing this evening, and they'll quit here early, and they're getting that. I know a full slate of sports things are coming our way. And I went to a basketball game. We hadn't been for a long time, but a couple of the girls, that work here, the girls basketball, and I went to one game and we went to the next one. It would happen to be the playoffs, and I really have missed that. I really have missed that because, we did it for like 65 years, maybe not that long, but, we went to a lot of ball games with the kids, and, we kind of got out of that, but we're gonna do a lot more,
Well, our jamboree's tomorrow. The football jamboree is at Blair Oaks, and that's tomorrow night. Then the girls, theirs is Saturday in St. James, their softball jamboree. Cross country's well on its way. August 27th is our first home football game. So that'll be the next Friday night. So that's
coming up.
We're really gearing up for a great fall sports season. Our coaches have been working. We have a new band director this year, and every time I've been out early of a morning, you've got your football boys on the field, you've got your drum line practicing, you have your flag corps, they're working out, and the amount of hours that all of our softball girls have been on the field. We have great new lights for them coming in this year. Our ball fields have been lit up, and so that is another great addition to our campus, to the main campus. But these kids, oh my goodness, the energy they have is amazing. And for the coaches to be able to get up as early and hang with the kids, that's a lot. And they've been working hard all summer. I know the weight room has been full all summer long with kids working out, and it just when you have kids like that and that your kids are playing in your sports, if kids are at school, they're not out doing something else.
Exactly, and keeping those kids busy. It is incredible how much energy they do have, and what they can do and what they can accomplish. And the coaches and the teachers, and I guess I look at sports because I got so much out of it. It helped me. Playing football, and I didn't start until I was a sophomore in high school. I didn't get to play. We were out in the country. I didn't get to play, and 2 days and all of that was over with. But the coach looked at me and said, "I'd like to play football." He said, "Well, here's the ball. I'm going to ask the team." So I went one-on-one with everybody, basically, and then they voted to let me on, and but I learned the basics of life.
Yes.
Not that I didn't know them, but working together and what a team was about, and how to reach in. How to reach in and find, that strength and determination, and setting them goals to do whatever. A lot of that came from football, and I know what it did for me, because the physical and mental, you're at your best when you are, I would say academically too. when you're performing at those levels, I mean, it brings out the best.
It does. It really does. And, you learn teamwork. But ultimately, we all have to work with people with different personalities, and when you're playing in sports and you're participating in extracurricular activities, whatever that may be, you have to learn to work together, and that's one thing that helps build our students to be better people, is working together.
You come in prepared for your job as absolutely as well equipped as anybody could, but I bet you had a few surprises and have a few surprises along the way, that you have even where you were as assistant superintendent. Does the weightiness of the decisions are they concerning to you, or you seem very comfortable in where you are, because you make some pretty hard decisions sometimes?
I do make some pretty hard decisions, and I'll probably have to make decisions that not everyone always agrees with. But when you look at it as, I have to look at what is best for the students. Every decision I make has to be what's best for the students and for all students. So I was high school principal, so when I would go to the superintendent when I was high school principal, it was like, this is what's best for my kids. I didn't care, well, I did care, but I didn't consider elementary perspective when I was trying to fight for a program for my high school kids. And I understand that process, having sat in the seat of a principal, but also as a teacher. When you're looking at a teacher, you're looking at your classroom. And so from the district perspective, and I had a great mentor, being able to work with Dr. Garner, but every decision I make, and there are some tough ones, has to be for the benefit of the students. And as long as I can go to bed every night knowing that I made every decision based on what we feel is best for students, and it's going to help students out as a whole, then I can sleep at night. Now, I may stay up a little bit later when I have to weigh these decisions out, but I don't have a problem making a decision when I know that it's going to benefit the kids of the district. And they're with COVID right now, just navigating those waters, and mask versus no mask, and vaccines versus not vaccinated. Those are some big decisions, but I tell the teachers, I said, you know what, you teach the kids, and you put the weight of the politics, you put the weight of the other stuff on my back. That's what I'm here for, to try to make sure that we're doing what's best for every student. And I feel that as long as I'm putting students first, and I always say my motto for the year is to keep the main thing, and the main thing is students. And if we stop looking at students as what's the most important thing, then that's when we're going to run into some problems.
And I've listened to you in the entire paragraph that you talked about. You say students.
Yes.
You say collectively, not the student.
Right. It's all.
It is all of the students collectively,
Yes.
and a lot of the animosities and a lot of the fighting that I see on TV and school boards and whatever, they are student driven, not students.
Right.
They're student driven, and that's not who we are,
No, we have to look out for everyone, all of the students. I had a conversation with a teacher, and when they were sitting in my office, and it was on an issue that we passed, and I was seeing a different side because I was looking, I was looking at it, but I did not see, just due to the simple what facts I had in front of me. And that he said, "Can I come talk to you?" Please do. If because you've
Right.
gone through the proper chain of command, come talk to me. Well, you know what? He was able to show me how he felt that it would benefit more students instead of less students, and that's what we have to look at, and we have to work together to do those things. But it is collectively, as a superintendent, you're looking at all students and the safety and the security and the learning of all students in the district. And as long as I make my decisions based on that, then I'm okay.
And the community is also.
Thank you.
So we are talking with Dr. Hardy, Superintendent of Gasconade County R2 School District, and we're going to take a little bit of break from her, and we're going to see what Gracie has on her agenda here coming up this weekend in our community.
Got a few things here. The Onslow Moose Lodge is having a fried chicken supper Saturday, August 21st, starting at 4 o'clock. Dine-in or takeout. Plates will be $9 and $10. They will be serving fried chicken, mashed potatoes and gravy, slaw, green beans, and corn. The Owensville Lions Club is having a drive-through or dine-in barbecue on Crosstown Road. They will be serving from 11 a.m. till sold out, and that is Friday, August 27th, and delivery is available as well. They will have pork steak sandwiches, $5, and brat sandwiches at $3.
It's really nice to see these service organizations coming back and being able to put the meals on and be able to serve the public the thing that they do the best, and that goes to the collaboration of all of the community. And what I've seen from the fairs and the picnic, the willingness of people to support, pretty overwhelming.
Yes.
This Friday night at the White Mule, we will be serving steak, shrimp, beef kebabs, and salmon from 5 until 8:30. We will actually have music all weekend. Ben Hampton will be here Friday night starting at 6. And then Saturday we have our pizza, wings, hamburgers, and steaks from 5 until 8:30. Center Stage will be here starting at 7, and they will be out in the pavilion. And then Sundays, all you can eat pan-fried chicken and roast beef from 11 till 3:30, and Dave Benson will be here starting at 1.
We got music all weekend.
All weekend, yes.
Well, that's pretty awesome. That's great. And so there you go. That's what we know was headed our way. And Dr. Hardy also told you a couple other events. Jamborees coming up this week, and football next 2 weeks.
Football 2 weeks.
So it's all coming our way at breakneck speed, really. It all, like I said, August goes quickly.
It does. It flies by, and like I said, we are so excited to see the kids. Parents still aren't coming in with them on the first day, but we are allowing parents in smaller groups back into buildings if they need to come in for a meeting. That's different than last year. Allowing, if the Gasconade County Republican needs to come in, we're going to allow those things this year. We just ask everyone keep their distance.
This comes, for a parent, one of the most important times of the year when you have, your son or your daughter going to class for the first time. And it's somewhat overwhelming, for some. And I even know some parents that took their kid to college here, and it caused some tears, you know what I'm saying? Because it is a very emotional time to be able to, take what you have incubated, and turn them over to, this other process, and watch them grow so quickly. It's not an easy thing.
No, it's not an easy thing, and COVID has made it a little bit harder because we can't have that many people at one time into the buildings. But please know, when you drop your kids off, we have teachers and paras waiting on them with open arms to get them where they need to go so they're in the right classroom, and we're going to take care of your babies, because we know that they're your most precious possession that you will ever have, and we want to make sure that we're treating them like we would want our own treated.
And that's the blessing of living in a smaller community, because chances are you're going to know you went to church, you went to other functions with some kids your age, you've been friends with their parents for a long time, and then you're going to send them to a classroom full of people that you know, and you're probably going to know the teachers or the superintendent or somebody, or you're going to get to know them very quickly in that circumstance. So it would be different in just about 90% of the school districts across the nation, other than a small town community as we are.
Yes, it would, and we are very blessed that we live in a community that we do know the parents and we know the students, and that is a blessing.
Dr. Hardy, it's always a pleasure to talk with you, and we appreciate everything you do, and our support to you and your staff and the teachers and the kids, and we totally entrust them to you, and we have no trepidation, in regard to doing what you're doing, and thank you for what you do. And come back at any time, and we'll be talking to you and maybe some of your principals and your AD, and coaches as time goes on, because the most important part of our community.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here. Next week, I think we're going to talk about sports, and I think Will is going to come in from the paper and talk about, the sports activity of what's going on. So we will see you here, good Lord willing, next Thursday. Have a great week, and make those last-minute school preparation plans or vacation plans or fair, whatever you've got, because days are running short, and we know that August goes in a hurry. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.
My son, Tyler, was killed in a crash.
He did everything he could to avoid that crash. He was traveling under the speed limit. He had all of his safety gear on, but when that truck pulled in front of him,